So we've shown you how to make the poodle in an earlier edition. You can create different animals or call them different animals as you teach a Bible story about Noah's Ark, or you talk about Mary riding into Bethlehem on a donkey, and you can use different animals in that way. It's great for Bible stories to make simple animals to do this with. The swords could come in if you're talking about a battle. The swords can be used in Bible stories that way. One of my favorite Bible stories to tell young children is the story of Jonah and the whale. So I'm going to tell you the story of Jonah and the whale. It's a little tricky to perform the magic, if you will, of getting Jonah inside of the whale, but I'll show you how that trick occurs. So this one's going to be inflated similarly to the sword. You don't need a lot of room at the end of the sword or at the end of the balloon. I'm going to let some of the air out, make my tie. So I began talking about Jonah and how God spoke to Jonah in a dream, and you can make it fun or funny as you're teaching the kids that already know the story well. It's fun to throw in a few sliders and for them to correct you. But you can talk about Jonah and how God spoke to him in a dream and told him to go to the city of Nineveh, and how Jonah was all alone in his room. So you take and you make about the smallest little ball that you can on the tip of the balloon. And this represents Jonah being alone in his room, and he's resting, and God speaks to him in a dream. So when Jonah gets the news that he's supposed to go to Nineveh, he starts to consider, well, Nineveh is a very bad place. There's very bad people there. People get killed there, people get robbed there, and he certainly doesn't want to go to Nineveh. It's a pretty rough place. So Jonah decides to hide from God. And usually at this point I say, where can you hide from God? Can you hide from God under your bed? Can you hide from God, in the closet? And usually the kids that are familiar with the story or know the Bible, that you can't hide from God. God can see everything. And I tell the kids how smart they are, and Jonah wasn't that smart. Jonah thought he could hide from God. So the magic in this balloon in this story is being able to hide this little balloon, getting it inside the other balloon. So really I just put my fingertip on the knot of the balloon, and I hold the balloon here firmly, and I press, basically forcing the ball of the balloon into the interior of the other balloon. So you can see my finger is within the interior of the balloon, and all I've done is insert it through the end there like that. Okay, so it's still attached. I could remove my finger and there's the ball, but I'm going to insert it into the interior. Got the balloon there, and then with this hand I'm going to grab that balloon. With my other hand, I'm going to pinch it and hold it. And now with this finger here, I'm going to tear and twist until I tear that balloon from the tip of my finger, allowing it to remain inside the balloon. But as soon as it tears, I'm going to try to grab the remaining tip of the balloon here so that none of the air escapes from this balloon, or very little air. So I'm going to tear. Okay? Now I'm pinching my finger. My finger is now free from the balloon that's inside, but my finger is still clogging the hole from where the air would escape. So I'm going to pinch this off and pull my finger out. Now I need to retie the tip of the balloon. So I retie the balloon. Okay? So now we've got a long balloon, and there is a ball inside the balloon. So we've got this long balloon with a ball inside. Now, at this point, Jonah is hiding from God, and he didn't know that you couldn't hide from God. So he went down to the boatyard, and you bend the balloon kind of like a boat. So he gets on the boat, and off the boat goes off to sea. Well, of course, there's a big storm. There's lots of lightning, there's thunder. Please, elaborate. The kids enjoy the drama in your story. So the boat rocks back and forth. But Jonah's asleep in the bottom. But all the sailors realize they've never seen a storm this fierce. They realize that this is an act of God. God is not happy with somebody on that boat. And then they realize that Jonah is a God follower and he's on this boat. So they go and wake Jonah up, bring him up top, and decide to throw him overboard. And as soon as he hits the water, the water calms, the seas calm, the winds calm, and all is restored to normal. Jonah's inside, and I said, what do you think happened next? And they say, of course, a big whale came along, or a big fish. So we just take the tips of the balloon, we crisscross them over, it looks kind of like a fish, and now you just take these two and then give it a twist like so, and they will twist together, and now you've got a fish with Jonah inside. We talk about the whale swallowing Jonah up. And how many days was he in there? 3 days and 3 nights. And God did not only talk to Jonah that day, but he talked to the whale. And then, of course, the whale swam to the beaches near Nineveh and spit dear Jonah out. And you can finish the story from there. But this is the story of Jonah and the whale. Pretty simple to do as long as you can get that the insertion, the tear off without losing the balloon. So practice this a couple of times. Kids love this story because they don't see how you get this balloon in there. Of course, you're just kind of doing this and putting it in there, tearing it off. They don't really understand what you're doing. All they know is when you're done, there's a Jonah inside the whale.